Hello and welcome to the Mac Gamecast, episode 64. I'm your host, Jon Carr, and with me, co-host, Casper. How you doing?
Good. First episode of 2026. Very exciting.
Yes, Happy New Year. Hope everyone had great holidays and fun times and in the last couple of weeks or month or whatever it was, approximately. So here we are in January, and we have a range of topics today. There's no one mega topic. But we're going to cover, there is some interesting developments from Apple, I would say, whether it's certain things releasing on iOS, what's happening with Apple Arcade, some hardware stuff means like current state of hardware and cost and all that kind of a thing, and some adjacent stuff, and also even playing stuff through Crossover. I've just been following game news, some Warhammer games I want to talk about because we usually get them on Mac from Feral, and so it should be a fun show.
Yeah, definitely.
And we each have our tea. We're happy. All is right in the world. With a cozy chair and a good cup of tea.
Yep.
Very,
very good setup to be in.
Yes, sir. So, what are you most interested in right now for the show's topics? What do you want to speak on first?
So right before the show started, I just closed down Final Fantasy VII Remake that I've been playing through Crossover. Having quite a good time with that, running at native 4K, no upscaling, no nothing, all the highest setting. It's just working. It's
wow.
It's really a joy how you can just double click the executable in the Crossover launch or open it through Spotlight and. Yeah, it takes a bit longer to load than if it were a native game because it has to open the Windows Steam client and pull it up through that and stuff. But once it's going, it just works and it's quite a joy. Before starting Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I started very recently, I just finished up the 2018 God of War game.
Oh,
also through Crossover. I'd had it that lying on the last mission basically for years. And I was like, I cannot finish it before I finish all of the side quests.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that right now. So it just was sitting on the shelf for years before I finally was like, I'm going back to it now. And I'm not going to care about killing all of the Valkyries. I'm just going to finish the game.
Nice. I never played the game, but I watched pretty much all of it on YouTube because I love the story and the characters and setting and stuff. So I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm gonna start Ragnarok at some point, but I'm gonna do that one on the PS5 because I get it for free on the PlayStation Plus service. But I already had the 2018 because I played that on my prior Mac, and then now finishing it on this one.
Yeah.
Right? So, I also finished.
Yeah.
Oh, so go ahead.
I was saying Amazon, I think, is making a live action God of War show. They already cast the guy who voiced Thor in both games is playing oh my god, whatever the main character's name is, it escapes me. Kratos, yes, thank you.
That is very interesting.
I was going to say a different Greek name, which is totally wrong. Yes, the guy who voiced Thor is playing Kratos, interestingly enough, not the guy who voiced Kratos himself, whoever that is.
Right. Yeah, fun.
Honestly, the guy looks a little bit like Kratos already, so maybe that's why. And he's like a big burly, 6.5 foot tall dude, so that's probably why he got cast.
I've never seen the guy who actually voices Kratos in the games, but I would love it if he's like some scrawny little long-haired dude or something.
That might be the case, and maybe that's. I honestly didn't look him up, but I immediately had that thought. I just read this news 2 days ago, and I'm like, is the guy who voiced him really just this little dude who wouldn't look that imposing on screen as Kratos in live action? Yeah, it would be, but he can do a really deep voice, boy, or whatever.
Yeah,
I can, and that's half as good as Kratos. Not even half as good, fractionally as cool as Kratos.
The voice actor for Kratos is fantastic.
He's incredible. But no, it's cool. Hopefully, I've never played the games. Mostly, I don't know. I thought I would get around to it, but I think I enjoy the story and atmosphere rather than the inherent moment-to-moment gameplay. So that's why I like watching it, but not necessarily playing it. So maybe the live action show, whenever I'm sure it's like 2 years away or something. But we've reviewed like quote unquote game TV shows on the podcast before, so we can do some God of War review down the line. But great IP, great characters, good story. Hopefully they do it justice. But
I absolutely love the God of War franchise. I've played all of the games barring the handheld ones. I haven't actually played like the PSP Chains of Olympus and Ascension and all that, but
sure.
But yeah, I've played the other ones and I quite enjoy them. Well, I haven't played Ragnarok either. I'm getting to that, as I said. But,
sure, yeah, I've heard it's pretty good. I did also watch a lot of it as well on YouTube or Twitch or whatever. But
yeah.
But
then I also finished up another game that I've been having just half finished for quite a while. So I finished up Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, and a little bit of a Final Fantasy role as well, keeping those games going.
Nice.
Also through crossover, and again, it just works. Though the one little exception to the it just works thing is with God of War, there's still some glitchy graphics here and there, especially when things get very close to the camera. They get this weird, I don't know, it looks like a hologram, wireframe, mesh kind of looking thing happening. It's not too distracting, but it's there as like a little visual glitch. Interestingly, it was there regardless if you used DXMT or D3D Metal, the game porting toolkit, or the open source DirectX translation layer. But both of them had the same glitch, so it's probably in the CPU rendering or something. But as it's not that bad. You can still enjoy the game with it. It's not too distracting. Both the Final Fantasy games are running flawlessly, both 12 and 7 remake. So
nice.
All good stuff.
I haven't been playing anything directly on Mac, meaning like to crossover. I've been using GeForce Now on my Mac, but actually on my new Mac Mini, which I do love. I think that's new. I have an M4 Mini now. Mac Mini.
we talked about how you might get one, but I hadn't heard you actually got.
Yeah. Okay, so I actually pulled the trigger, just the base one, not a Super Pro, whatever. It was, I think, $480 plus tax on Amazon at the time. So I'm like, well, that's hard to beat up. Otherwise it'd be.
I think there was an article on Mac Rumors today actually saying that they still have them for $499 right now. So
yeah, it was $480 at the time. So with tax, it was like $520 or $30 or something US.
Sure, it's a pretty good deal.
It's a good deal. I'm really happy with it. It's been a pure work machine for my like web dev and cybersecurity stuff I'm doing. But I'm like, I'll just throw GeForce Now on here. That's not like some personal info or something I'm worried about. Because it's mostly a work machine and I'm the only one using it. But I'm very happy with the M4 Mac Mini. It boots up like insanely fast. Everything's really snappy. It's notably a bit better than my M1 Pro for just productivity. The only gaming I've tried to do on it is through GeForce Now, which obviously doesn't count because it's streaming it. But no, it's been really good, and I've been playing Trine 5 with a buddy co-op. So it's been pretty fun, from a couple of years ago. I'm an old school Trine fan. I reviewed like Trine 1 and 2, I think, for Inside Mac Games way back in the day, and so I'm a fan of the series, and I'm still dabbling in a little Borderlands 4 like once a week, on and off with a other buddy. We're well done the campaign. We're just doing like all end game stuff. But,
I got an email from Crossover actually about the latest beta release, because they just released the Crossover Beta 26.
Yeah.
And on their list there for official support being added in 26 was Borderlands 4.
Ooh, very interesting. It is a fairly demanding game, so I'm curious how well it would run through Crossover at medium, high, whatever settings.
I'm probably gonna need one of the beefier Macs for it.
I doubt mine
gonna work well on a base model.
Yeah, if I had an M4 Pro or Max or whatever. I don't think there is an M4 Max on the Mac Minis. So
another Minis, you'd have to go up to a studio for that one.
Exactly. But anyway, Borderlands 4 is still pretty fun. I just checked my hours on it the other day on Steam. I believe it was 76 or 77 hours since it launched. So
that's good.
Yeah, I'm like, the game's still fun, but I don't want to play it. I get on once a week and play it for like an hour. And that's like great. I blast some fools with my buddy. We hang out, we do a few quests or whatever, and we level up this or that, get some new guns, bam. Like I'm kind of good. Yeah, they did just release some new stuff, like a new raid boss, which is pretty fun. Went and fought that a few times. Pretty creative, actually. But, the game's still in its early days. Borderlands games always get like 4 big DLC packs and tons of free stuff and all this. So he's all in on the game. He's already pre-bought like all the season pass, blah, blah, blah. I haven't yet. I only bought the base game. I'm like, we'll see. Let's see how much in the mood I'm still want to play this in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year from now, whatever. So, it's a good game. Overall, we've already talked about it a bunch, so I won't say more. But it's still fun, and yeah, if it can run nicely on crossover through a whatever Mac that is needed, then that's cool because that's just more adoption. Cooler would be an actual Mac port, but whatever. Maybe it'll randomly show up 1 or 2 years from now. We never like Mac's weird these days.
But like with our experience with Borderlands 3, it might actually run better through crossover. So
I know. Oh my god, you're not wrong. Oh my god, yeah. So that's what I went up to on the gaming front, and speaking of other possible, one moment. Other possible games we have. We're all set. I thought I was on the wrong microphone. I think we're good. My computer says I'm on my earbuds, but StreamYard says I'm on my Rode. So anyway.
Right.
Sorry, behind the curtain there, listeners. Technical things. I recorded an episode not too long ago on the wrong microphone, so I'm trying to be more conscious of that. iOS is getting new Tomb Raider games. Sorry, well, the old Tomb Raider games.
The series of Tomb Raider games that started in, what was it, 2013?
2013, yeah. They call it the Survivor Trilogy.
Yeah, so it's getting the 2013 one first, and then later on they're gonna port over. Oh, how is it goes?
Rise of the
third
Tomb,
one, right?
Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then Shadow.
One, yeah. All done by Feral. So
yeah. I'm a big fan of the first 2 games. Did not like the third very much, honestly, but
I've actually heard many people say that the third one was the best one.
I thought it was meh. I mean, part of it was like I wasn't super juiced to play Tomb Raider at the time, but I also really do not like jungle settings. Like they really kill my jam, my vibe, my like, oh, this is great. I want to play and like adventure and explore and fight here. It's like, no. I don't consider the first game like a jungle. It's more like a foresty mountain sort of thing. And the second game was pretty much almost exclusively like snowy mountain stuff, which I also love. But I think I was just a little Tomb Raidered out at the time. Plus, I wasn't too jazzed on the theme. And I honestly thought the story got patently ridiculous. So the first 2 games was like just a little sprinkle of mysticism. And the third game's like full blown, like crazy superpower, weird end of the world. I pulled this stone and now the world's ending. It's like, what is even happening? Whatever.
Yeah, but that's just keeping, the spirit of Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I never played
the first game was all right. Fair enough, but
yeah,
that's not new for the series.
I do understand that, but for me, who enjoyed the series from the 2013 point and only really watched the earlier ones. I mean, I played some demos of like the older ones because Aspire used to port them all, but it never stuck.
I mean, in one of the first games, I forget if it was just the first one, but there were boss fights against a dinosaur and a guy on a skateboard.
I do remember the dinosaurs.
The guy on a skateboard was literally just a boss fight where he would just ride around in circles on a skateboard and sometimes ride into you and you just shot him a bunch. And you had to shoot him like 1,000,000 times because he had more HP than the dinosaur and he was just a dude on a skateboard.
My god, that's hilarious. That was like early 90s or something probably.
Yeah.
Funny times. No, but it's a good IP. Lara's a good character. The games are generally good overall. I'm sure, there's occasionally a less great entry, but people like Tomb Raider. It's coming to iOS. That's great. They also announced a remake of an older Tomb Raider game. I have it here. I believe it is Legacy of Atlantis. Is a remake, I think.
I also heard that there was going to be some movement on the twin stick shooter one. What was that called? Like Guardian of Light or something?
Guardian of Light, yeah.
Yeah. No, but I haven't heard about the Atlantis stuff.
As far as I know, it's some kind of remake. I'm not like deep on my Lara Croft older lore. Like I just explained, I'm familiar with the Survivor trilogy. But there is also a brand new game coming called Tomb Raider Catalyst. Like it's the next one in the series. So apparently The Survivor trilogy is considered canon, like that happened. Like people weren't sure, are they just going to reboot it? You know what I mean, or whatever. But apparently, Tomb Raider Catalyst, the new game, will carry on. It's an older Lara; she's 5 or 10 years older, or whatever the heck. So a little more grown up, more mature. But apparently, she's canonically gone through the events of Tomb Raider, Rise of Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So that'll be interesting. Yeah.
Cool.
Again, they haven't announced these for Mac, but so far they have all come to Mac on the newer ones anyway, and some of the remakes and whatever. So, we can be reasonably hopeful that, probably not day one, but you never know. For, say, Tomb Raider Catalyst, the new one. A little unclear. Now, honestly, I was like, I sound like an idiot talking about it. It's like, why didn't I go look up Legacy of Atlantis? Is that like, what is it? I can look it up right now.
It might be included in if it's like a series of games, because there was one called Underworld at some point.
Okay,
I think that was like PS3 era.
It says it's a remake of Tomb Raider. It's like a remake of the first game or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess you went to Atlantis in that one. I have no recollection of that.
Here we go. It's a remake of Tomb Raider from 1996. So they're calling it Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. So that's a remake, not a remaster. And then we have the brand new game. So there's 2 games being developed at once, which is interesting. Catalyst, Tomb Raider Catalyst.
Cool.
Both of them are like, the Lara model does look a little different because it's a new actress, new voice actress, and, body model, face model, whatever. So another British lady. I looked her up because I was like, because I'm always curious, like, why did they change actors when they already did a fine job? Even though I understand, okay, it's like 10 years later, so that fair enough. The lady,
but it also has been like 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
More, right? So,
maybe more. Yeah. I'm sorry. Again, I didn't look this up. I've had a busy day. The lady who's voicing the new Lara Croft in Legacy of Atlantis remake and Catalyst is like a really experienced game actor. She's been in like all kinds of BioWare projects and Cyberpunk, and she's like in tons of stuff. She has like an enormous game resume. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's always nice to have someone who like knows games and, how to play a video game protagonist or whatever, like for the voice and all that, the emotions, whatever, the animations, what have you. I mean, they do some body capture, whatever. So I thought that was cool. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. I forget her name, but it's some British girl. I'm like, who is this? Go to IMDb. Oh my God, she has like 50 credits or something. It was like, she's been everywhere. So that was cool. So that's like the Tomb Raider news. Again, this is like Mac adjacent. Some of the stuff, okay, we get the iOS updates. And again, ironically, like Tomb Raider, Legacy of Atlantis, or Catalyst might come to iOS before Mac, for all we know in the future. Like,
I don't like that sort of reality.
I don't either, but as we know, my good friend, that is a potential reality.
Yeah.
Dear listeners, do you want to play Tomb Raider on your phone or your Mac?
What do you prefer? At minimum 13-inch screen or 6.3-inch screen that you cover with your thumbs?
Makes me want to just curl up and sigh and cry. But more Tomb Raider, always cool. Obviously, it's Crystal Dynamics and someone else it's like being jointly developed. Did I hear Flying Pig Studios? Because that's like the people who did frickin', oh my God, what are those old ninja games? A Lo Wang?
There's many old ninja games.
No, like the Lo Wang guy, the like spinoff of Duke Nukem or whatever.
I don't think I know that.
Oh my God, Shadow Warrior. The people who did the remake, I think, was Flying Wild Hog. So it's Crystal Dynamics. Yeah, they did Shadow Warrior remake and Shadow Warrior 2, Shadow Warrior 3. They honestly don't have the most amazing track record, but Shadow Warrior 1 was fun. I don't really understand why studios sometimes have 2 or 3 developers on them. It's like, I don't know. Why don't you just make it all with one studio? But so that's the Legacy of Atlantis is being co-developed. So I don't really understand the Flying Pig Studios angle because they make like the over-the-top, bombastic, like crude shooters with like lowbrow humor and like ultra violence. It's like, well, none of that has any relation to Tomb Raider. and it's a
I don't
third-person
know.
game, and they only make first-person games. So it's like, why is this studio involved in Tomb Raider? I don't know.
That they might just be helping with, manpower for art or animation or something under the stewardship of the other studio or something.
Right.
It's possible to just be a resources thing.
It's true. So both Catalyst and Legacy of Atlantis, the remake, are being made by Crystal Dynamics. So the people who made the Survivor trilogy, and of course a bunch of other stuff. This is interesting. Apparently, Catalyst is going to take place in northern India. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if a Tomb Raider game's ever been set in India before, so that's interesting.
Seems like a setting that would fit the series well enough.
It would, all sorts of ancient ruins or temples or mountains or whatever. Apparently, it's a sequel to Tomb Raider Underworld from 2008, which
Underworld. That's the one I mentioned earlier.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
PS3 era game or Xbox 360.
I guess the timeline like jumps around in terms of Lara, so it's not like a sequential release of games where like you just
go absolutely not. They're all over the place with the releases and the internal time frame of things. It's
right. So there's that.
Yeah, like from day one, we knew that the Survivor trilogy thing was going to be a prequel to at least some of the games, because there was also, what was it called, like Beginnings or Origins or something as well in there.
Right.
Yeah, it's all over the place with the releases and the chronology.
Right. And of course, yet again, Tomb Raider is also being made, I think, by Amazon as I think it's a TV show with Sophie Turner, best known for Game of Thrones, as Lara Croft, which I'm mildly unconvinced by.
They did a Tomb Raider movie like 2006 or something. That sort of era. That was not that good.
Well, there's the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies. There's two of them. They were like reasonably well received back in the day as like sort of silly, almost B-movie level nonsense.
Yeah.
And relatively...
That's the ones I was thinking of, at least. They were enjoyable enough, but they weren't like... Yeah, they were B-movie types of movies, but enjoyable enough in that setting.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Correct. And then, of course, they made one with Alicia Vikander from... How long ago exactly? 2018, which was... It was meant to be following roughly the structure of the first Survivor game from 2013, where she like washes up in the island and whatever. I saw the movie kind of excited, and it was super mid, not very good. The first half was all right, but the second half was like pretty lame. As usual, when they adapt things and make all kinds of weird choices and like, what the heck is even going on here? And new characters are added that were never in the game, and blah blah blah. So I didn't like that one very much. I thought the older Tomb Raiders were overall better. Like, let's be real, the originals and Angelina Jolie weren't like masterpieces. They were just like sort of nonsensical fun. The 2018 movie was just sort of more nonsensical and less fun. Personally.
Fair enough.
And it did.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know anything about it.
It's not worth seeing. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you could skip through it at best. I mean, the actress is good. She was an Ex Machina, and she was phenomenal there. So she's not a bad actress. I just think it wasn't a particularly great like script and narrative and direction and blah blah blah. So anyway, now they're doing I think it's a TV show and not a movie at Amazon. I guess I'm a little unclear about that. But Sophie Turner's Lara Croft. I mean, she's tall and she's been working out, and I don't know. I don't think she particularly... I mean, she was pretty good as Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones, but frankly, she had kind of a limited range, and anything else I've seen her in, like X-Men movies, kind of a limited range. So I'm like, well, maybe she can pull it off, but I don't know if she's really the right person to. I guess we'll find out. I'm not super convinced, put it that way. Not that I'm like all in on this, like I have a person I could pick out, or 5 ladies who would do it better. Like, I have no idea. I just thought, okay, Sophie Turner, Lara Croft. Well, maybe.
I mean, if we're being honest, the Tomb Raider character from the games isn't like well enough defined that I think you could necessarily do it wrongly. Because like her character changes a lot throughout the games.
It's true,
and like both appearance and personality and everything. So like, if you just do a good character, I honestly don't think there's anybody who's going to be like, but it wasn't a good Tomb Raider character, because that's
right.
Not that well defined.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's more. I mean, it's true. I mean, Lara is more just like, at least game wise, canonically, she's more just action adventure lady. She's not like, she's basically out. She's basically just doing it because she likes to do it and have fun and do adventures and, I don't know, I guess, make species go extinct with her dual pistols. I hope they just lean into that sort of nonsensical Lara and not some more modern version. That's just my hope. We'll see. I just want a fun Tomb Raider. Yeah, that's reasonably well written. Like, I'm not expecting Shakespeare here. Like, let's be, the games aren't either. But I mean, in the Survivor trilogy, she's like a mass murderer. She kills literally hundreds of people, maybe even thousands. So it's like, well, I don't want her to turn into Die Hard either. So there's we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I'm optimistic. Like, I want it to be a good show, and I just hope it is. So. And there's no release date on it. It's like very early. They only just announced her like in the last couple of weeks as Lara Croft. So
seems like they're doing a lot of video game related shows.
They are. Yeah.
Like they were behind Arcane, I think, right? And they did Castlevania and The Last of Us. And,
Well, not all the same studio, but yeah, they've.
I mean, like sponsored by Netflix.
Oh, Netflix or well, in this case, it's Amazon. But yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Both the shows mentioned. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Apparently, there's also a Mass Effect show in progress at Amazon, like in development. No announcements or anything beyond that. Again, live action, not animated. There's, of course, famously, Henry Cavill's Warhammer project, which no one really knows much about beyond it's going on. Yeah, so there's a lot of like gamey, tabletop-y, whatever stuff being developed, and hopefully historically it's never been that great in like any majority of greatness. It's been like occasional greatness, mostly just average to bad. So hopefully it's they step it up these days, 2026 and beyond. We don't have release dates on any of these projects, so
yeah, but
we can hope as fans of various IPs and characters and settings that they're cool and well done.
But yeah, as you were saying, the Feral are bringing the Tomb Raider series to iOS, and in a similar like evolution of the AAA gaming sphere on iOS, Apple has announced that coming to Apple Arcade, Civilization 7 will also be available on at least iPad, but probably iPhone as well. But I only think I saw the announcement for iPad, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be, just across the whole range of platforms.
Right.
But it's like the first AAA game or higher end game or whatever you might call it that we'll be seeing on the Apple Arcade platform. And it's kind of interesting that, like, I get going with this one in some sense because it's more well suited to something like an iPad than many other big games are, because it doesn't matter how fast your reaction speed is, and it's somewhat well suited to touch, that it's just like picking strategic options and so forth. Yes. And Apple Arcade is all about, it's there across all of the platforms, and something you might subscribe to with just an iPad or just a phone. And it's also fairly friendly towards all age ranges. You can be less good at the strategy, but it's not like it's gory or sexual or anything like that.
Yeah. Very family friendly overall. Yeah,
exactly. And I think a large part of the Apple Arcade audience is probably on the younger side, or parents getting it for children because of the fact that you avoid all of the microtransactions and predatory tactics that can exist in some other freemium type apps. So in that sense, I think it's a great fit for Apple Arcade if they want to expand into more AAA higher end games. But it is also a bit weird that if they want to go this direction, that they haven't done any of their prior projects they've been involved with on Apple Arcade, like Death Stranding, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Cyberpunk. Right. I don't know how involved Apple was in Shadows, but they've at least seemed to be involved in some of these other projects that then were absent from Arcade. So I don't really know if Apple plans to take Arcade further in the AAA space, potentially wanting to compete with something like Xbox Game Pass and these other things. But there's at least going to be one bigger game on there with Civilization 7.
Yeah, it's nice to see. We've talked about it fairly, I mean, quite a bit over the years, on and off, about Apple Arcade, and we definitely brought it up before. Like, man, where's like a AAA game on here? And of course, at the time, I was like, well, it's all these little arcadey, mobile style games, so it wouldn't.
Yeah, and I'd basically resigned myself to the idea that Apple wanted arcade to be what a parent gets their 8-year-old to keep them in a space where they don't need to be bothered by predatory advertisement or predatory microtransactions in games, and they can be in a space where they can download many fairly good smaller games on their phone without worrying about what might be in there, where content, user-generated content or microtransactions or anything of the sort. They can be in a place they can trust for their kids or something. I'd resign myself to that. That's what arcade is, and it's fine. And then the rest of us go on Steam or download games elsewhere, and we don't really worry about it, and it's just there. But I do think that there is an interesting opportunity to make it a more of a family plan where you where there is still this content for kids, and perhaps you can integrate it with existing family plan stuff where you can set age ranges, and the developers need to be good about actually marking the age ranges probably, but the App Store already has rules on that anyway. And then there is also content for older teens and adults and so forth in the bundle, making it more worthwhile for everyone.
Right, yes.
And like there is this thing where when you buy a new Apple product, you buy a new phone or a new Mac or whatever, I still think you get some time Apple Arcade free, don't you?
3 months that only usually, I think.
Yeah.
No, I got it.
Yeah, so that's all like feeding into it very well, and you buy a new Mac and then you get 3 months of playing it, for now just Civ 7, but imagine if there were many other higher end games on there, then that could really do something to fight the popular opinion that still exists around, or myth or whatever, that Macs can't really do gaming. That is kind of true in some respect because the software library is more limited. But if we get this Apple Arcade where every new purchase of a Mac is like, and now you get 3 months where you can show it off to everyone that, hey, you can actually play these things. I do think that would be a very good strategy to tackle that. Popular opinion, popular myth, whatever you classify it as, that Macs can't do gaming.
Yeah, no, it'd be good. I mean, by all accounts, Civ 7 isn't a particularly good game. It's pretty poorly rated, but there's like 5 times as many people playing Civ 6, which is 10 years older. But that's kind of neither here nor there. It's more important that a AAA game exists on Apple Arcade rather than how amazing or not it is. I'm hopeful for that. I mean, enough games get released, I'll sign up for it. Definitely. If there's games I want to play anyway, that at the moment there isn't. So, it would be interesting to see, like you said, is this a dabble? Is this a sprinkle, a little family sprinkle, or will they, of a game like we said, very family friendly, very iPad, iOS friendly as well, for all the reasons you just mentioned. Or, will they add some more, for lack of a better word, quote unquote, computer games to Apple Arcade? Be interesting to see that for sure. I hope they do. I think it would be a smart move. I was going to say it doesn't cost them anything, but it clearly costs them something because they have to pay whatever. I don't know, whatever the arrangement is for the whoever publishes Sid Meier or Firaxis or whoever it is.
I mean, there's definitely a cost, but at the same time, there are services like Xbox Game Pass and such, PlayStation Plus and such, where you also just subscribe and you get a bunch of free games and access to a bunch of games, and that must make financial sense. So it's just about making sure enough people subscribe and getting the price right, and then it does pay itself off and it becomes revenue, you would imagine, right? Otherwise there wouldn't really be a market for this, and there clearly is with these other companies doing it, even though Xbox Game Pass has gotten more expensive over time and yada yada yada. So the balance might be hard to find, but as well, if Apple can use this to entice more people to buy Macs, to buy iPhones, to buy iPads, keep them in the ecosystem, buy iCloud Plus and so forth, it all adds up. Even if the Apple Arcade itself maybe isn't profit generating, like let's just say it goes black in the end, it's a zero net profit, zero net loss. It might still add money into their other revenue streams by getting more people to buy products or other services anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, I could still see a way of it being profitable, even if it costs some money to run it and to get the games in there.
For sure. Yeah. No, it's good. It's, more, it's an interesting move, unprecedented as of the moment for Apple Arcade. And it's interesting. Civ 7 was released about a year, not quite a year, almost a year ago, like February 2025. So, pretty new game. That's cool. Obviously, it's been on a Mac, I think, since day one.
Yeah, it was a day one release.
So it's been there all along. But hey, now it's on Apple Arcade, so that's cool.
And like one could also imagine / hope that once they actually do release DLCs for this, which will inevitably happen for a Civ game, that you'll also just get them with your Apple Arcade bundle for free, because microtransactions aren't allowed on Apple Arcade, and I mean also not macro transactions, I guess, for a DLC.
Right.
And that increases the value proposition even further, right?
Definitely
for that sort of thing. And I frankly, I do imagine that once the DLCs land for this game, the player count is going to start going up and rivaling Civ 6 more and more, and like eventually taking over.
Right.
Because it often happens with releases of Civ games that they release with significantly fewer features than their predecessor, and then over time they add them up back in, and people move over slower.
Right.
That there are some unique criticisms to Civ 7, so it's not just like they took away some content like they always do. There are some fundamental gameplay changes that people were less happy with than the studio probably hoped people would receive it with.
But no, Civ 6 has like 10 expansion packs and 10 years of updates and fine tuning and whatever. So it's like it's a ginormous package of Civilization goodness, as opposed to here's just a brand new game. So I understand that if I was a Civ fan, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd be like, I might, even if I like the new one, I'm like, well, I can just do more with the old one because it just has so much more content. So it's like, I might just go back to the old one too for now, kind of a thing. So
yeah, I mean, so I've been playing Civilization then since regularly since the fourth one, but I also have a little bit of playtime in the third one, and it was basically the case for me in the past. When a new one released, I would buy it day one, play a match with my brother, and then we'd go back to the older one for like 2 years or something before the DLCs and the updates came in, and then we go back to the new one, right? We haven't actually tried 7 yet, but I do want to play it eventually. It's just there's so much to go through.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense, absolutely. I think we already covered other game release stuff. I think we talked about Control 2 last time. Oh, I did. My brain isn't working. So there's a lot going on with Warhammer, and aside from the whole TV show stuff. So Dawn of War 4 is being made, I think, by Relic, who had made the other Dawn of Wars, famously Company of Heroes and stuff like that. Feral had ported the games previously, the older versions, which were a lot of fun. I played them on PC, I played them to crossover, they got officially released, I played them again, I'm a huge fan of them. Dawn of War 4 is more going back. That was mostly Dawn of War 2. Dawn of War 1 was like a traditional RTS, like tons of troops, lots of buildings, big campaign, all this stuff. Dawn of War 2 and its various expansions were more like smaller scale skirmish games. You can only control like 3 to 5 squads of dudes, and they're all like super elite and stuff. And you could equip them with all kinds of various war gear and upgrades. It was more modular like that. So Dawn of War 4 is going back more to the original, first game style, like classic RTS, big battles, hundreds of troops, all that kind of a thing. But it looks really cool. And again, Feral has ported all of those previously to Mac, including Dawn of War 3, which wasn't very well received by the community because they really changed up the game structure and tone and gameplay and stuff. The single player campaign was fine, but the multiplayer, which apparently a lot of people love, I never got into it. I played it for the single player, but apparently that was like bad, so it kind of killed the game's lifespan.
Right.
In any case, apparently everyone who like is a Dawn of War fan really likes Dawn of War 1 the best in all its expansions. So going back to that style, but of course with, nice modern graphics and features, it was like, ooh, okay, cool. Because the first game is really old, like I think it's from the early 2000s, so it's like, a little rough on the eyes these days. And coincidentally, Creative Assembly, who makes Total War, and famously Total War Warhammer 1, 2, and 3, which are massively successful, and of course all came to Mac, courtesy of Feral, and all their expansion packs and patches and whatever. So they're now working, openly announced and teased and shown off with CGI trailers, Warhammer 40,000, which is a really big deal because from the Warhammer community, from a tabletop perspective, and even a lore perspective, like reading the books and whatever, is much bigger on the 40K side than the fantasy side. Which the Total War Warhammer games are what's called Old World, particularly, which is, the more medievally fantasy version of the game. There were other spin-off games not ported to Mac, which were more set in the age of Sigmar, which is yet a spin-off of Old World, where like it's a new age and there's new this and new that and whatever, but not quite as popular. But Warhammer 40,000 like dwarfs the others in popularity, but like no contest. It's like massive.
As someone who never really got into Warhammer, but just saw it a lot from the outside, it always confused me a little bit. Like, okay, so there's like a fantasy Warhammer that's medieval style, and then there's space future, and is it the same thing, or are they two very distinct things with the same name?
They're technically, I think, in the same. I think they're actually separate universes, but except for the fact that a couple characters exist in both. Or at least they're play like certain demons you can play in any of the settings, for example, because they're like, oh, they're the demons, they're everywhere. And I happen to play the demon armies on the tabletop, so I have those. But no, Warhammer 40,000 is literally the 41st millennium, so it's we're in the year whatever 2026. Well, in that setting, it's the year 41,000 blah blah blah. So it's like crazy into the future.
Yeah.
No, it's very much, very sci-fi. You'll see a lot of tropes, obviously, like, oh, here's the bug army. They're the Tyranids. Well, they're the inspiration for the Zerg in StarCraft, for example. Oh, there's space elves, because of course there is. Oh, there's space dwarves, because of course there is. And unsurprisingly, the elves are, like, cool and beautiful and technologically advanced. And the dwarves like to mine. Oh, no, who could have ever thought of this? But
are they like directly the ancestor? Well, the opposite of ancestor. Are they in the lineage of the same dwarves and elves that are in the fantasy world?
Not that I know of. I guess I'd have to look that up. But I think it is actually a separate universe because in the old world, there's like magic. They have all their magic and their gods and stuff, and that is absent in the 40,000. I mean, there's a couple like god characters, but there's no like magic in the game. There's just like really advanced technology. So I don't believe, I think they're actually separate universes in the end. Like you said, not like ancestral or whatever. Like, 50 million years later or something. 50,000, I guess. But as far as I know, they're not the same. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's someone listening who knows the lore and they're like, this idiot. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I do think they're separate.
Yeah,
I do know Old World into Sigmar is related. Basically, the universe reboots, except for like 2 demigod level dudes who carry over their memories or whatever from the Old World to Sigmar, and they called it the world that was or something. And there's like various epic heroes who like lived through the previous world and are now in the new one, but everyone else is like new, so it's a little weird there. But for Warhammer 40,000, it's true in terms of the game development, like tabletop history. They started with the fantasy version because that was when like D&D was really popular and fantasy everything. And then only later did they start the sci-fi version, 40,000. That's not the strict timeline. It had its evolutions. It had different names and different forms, and eventually they called it Warhammer 40,000. First it was Rogue Trader and a couple other things, which is where that comes from, like the was it Owlcat Studios?
Yeah, Owlcat made a Rogue Trader game, yeah.
Yeah, so like that's even a precursor to Warhammer 40,000 itself in the actual like linear timeline of the game's development. But yeah, 40K became big because, you can see why. It's sci-fi, it's big dudes in armor, there's lots of cool tech, there's lots of cool races, all kinds of cool technology. So it's a very big series in terms of its lore and its books and its hobby and its tabletop. It's the most popular war game in the world in terms of like what's played globally. Like no contest, it's what they call the 800-pound gorilla. There's lots of war games that people like, but is Warhammer the best one because it's the biggest? No, it has a lot of rules bloat and antiquated systems, but it's big, it's popular, it's pretty fun. I play it almost once a week locally here. But the fact that they're making a Total War Warhammer 40,000 game is a pretty big deal because Creative Assembly did a very good job with Warhammer 1, 2, and 3 of the fantasy version. And now they're trying to make a Warhammer 40,000 version. Obviously, there's way more guns in Warhammer 40,000 as opposed to the old world, where it's mostly like bows and some magic here and there.
More like how a Total War game usually is.
Correct, Amundo. But there's also a lot of melee combat in the tabletop, like tons of it. So they are going to be doing a mix. And there's way more hybrid units. Like a lot of units have guns and swords or hammers or whatever the heck, right? Knives, what have you.
Right.
And every faction has dedicated melee units who don't have any guns. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of merge that all together. And as usual, they're launching with, 4 factions in the main game, and then they'll add more later. I believe it's the Space Marines, so I find sort of insufferably boring, but they are the most popular faction, so that's that. They're the generic humans. Well, that's not true. They're not generic humans. They're technically like superhumans. The generic humans are the guard. They're like the army, basically. The Astra Militarum, so they're in the game. The Space Marines are like the super soldier guys. The orcs, who of course, because orcs are great, everyone likes orcs, basically, as either playing as them or up against them. They're like a good, faction to have around. And who's the other faction they're launching with? I think it's the Necrons, maybe? The, space robot guys, I think, is maybe, I might be mixing up with Dawn of War 4. Anyway, people are excited because it's, Creative Assembly. Obviously, Total War is a very popular IP anyway, or a series, rather. It's not an IP in and of itself. And, of course, they did really well with Warhammer, and the same team is now working on 40,000. And they say they're big fans of it, and, they've already teased some things, and, here's what we're doing, we're changing this and adapting that, and yada, yada, yada. It is a more violent setting, traditionally, and compared to the old world. So, Total War, the Dawn of War games are ultra-violent, like mega R-rated on the violent front, for example. And, of course, traditionally, Total War is, bloodless unless you buy the, $4 blood pack or whatever the heck. Which is kind of stupid, but, that's it's what it is. So, I don't know what they're going to do with Warhammer 40,000 from Creative Assembly and on that front, but, apparently they have a very different campaign structure cooked up that's, dynamic and different war zones and hots, because it's not just, you're not fighting over, fields, you're literally fighting over, galaxies, multiple planetary systems. So they have plans to do all these theaters of war and hotspot zones, and of course there's smaller boarding actions where it's ship to ship, and then here's a big planetary assault, and so they have all this stuff planned. It's all just being teased recently. Nothing's fully shown off.
It's going to be a quite a different main board view than the Total War games are usually. Where it's just that's Europe top down.
Yeah, correct, Amundo. Yeah, so we'll see if they can pull it off. It's very ambitious. It's a huge, way bigger scale than anything they've done before in terms of the interlocking gameplay systems and stuff. They did say they were going to do some cool things because on the tabletop, customization's a big deal. Here's my squad of 5 or 10 guys. Well, this guy has the heavy weapon. This guy has the sniper rifle. This guy has the rocket launcher. And this guy has 2 swords. There's all this customization, so you can not literally every squad can do that, but fairly often you can do that in your armies. So they did say they're going to try to bring over a lot of that customization into the tabletop, so you can actually create a really modular army and fight in different area. I'm fighting against a melee army. Well, either I'll go more melee or I'll go more guns, or you can mix and match your troops instead of I have to recruit or build a brand new troop because they only have arrows or bows or guns, or in this case in the old world, I would be well, I need a bunch of archers. Well, you can only get the archers, basically. And this you could be like, well, I'll switch these guys, hammers or swords for a bunch of, plasma rifles or something. So that'll be interesting to see like the modularity and blah, blah, blah. So
Cool.
yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of the IP, and I like, of course, Total War. I never bought Total War Warhammer 3. I was kind of petered out by then on like large, giant campaign games. But I played quite a bit of Total War Warhammer 1 and 2.
Yeah, they did some. I don't know if that was with Warhammer, but they did some like Eternal something where you could combine the maps of all of the games.
Yes. They called it. Oh my God, Total War something Empires.
I think it was Eternal Empires, and I'm pretty sure
something to that effect. It's a similar name. Yeah, they stitched all the games together by the third game if you owned it. So it's very ambitious. So the scale of the 40,000 game is like way beyond that even, like literally. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm pretty excited. It already has, like within a few days of announcing it, it had over 1 million wish lists on Steam.
Damn.
So pretty popular. People are hyped about like Warhammer. So I'm excited as a pretty new fan overall, like because I only got into the tabletop literally not even 2 years ago. But yeah, I used to play Dawn of War 2 like way, I don't know, I remember playing in like 2008 or 9 or something. So I've been like a generic fan of Warhammer video games for quite a while. There are a couple excellent ones on Mac. Warhammer Mechanicus, extremely good. Or it's a 40,000 game. And of course the Dawn of War's Feral did. And Dawn of War 3 is there, but it's fine. It's not amazing. It's fine. I think that might be it. There's more of them, but they didn't make it to Mac. But no, it's a huge IP, and I think, I mean, it's you make a good product, people will buy it. Generally speaking, we see that with games, we see that with movies, shows, whatever. So I am excited that there's like, there's this hyped TV show coming out. Who knows when? Probably years from now. There's 2 pretty high profile Warhammer 40,000 games being made. They're making Mechanicus 2. It's coming out, I think, this year. I mentioned it a moment ago. That came out in like 2018. You play the little like they're like monks, but they're robots and they take care of technology. They're called the Adeptus Mechanicus, and they all wear like robes and they do incense, but they've replaced most of their bodies with metal and robotic parts and stuff.
Okay.
The flesh is weak, and they believe in a machine god, not like regular gods and all this stuff. So anyway, you can play as them in this game, Adeptus Mechanicus. It's pretty fun. But the next game coming out, you can also play as the villains, the evil robot Necron guys. I guess they're all robots, but one's arguably good and one's arguably more evil. The Necrons are essentially like, they have this whole like Egyptian pharaoh motif thing, and they all have like their dynasties and royalty and lords and all this stuff, but it's way in the future. But They believe it's their destiny to like conquer everything and own everything and enslave everyone else, and it's kind of silly, but it's fun. They're like a popular villain in the setting, the Necrons.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's my little Warhammer fanboy segment. But if you like the fantasy versions of Warhammer from Creative Assembly, Total War, and you actually like sci-fi games, well, then go. You can go. There's a Steam page already for it. You can wishlist it or look at a few screenshots. I think they have a little teaser video there. There's only like a couple seconds of actual like, in progress, whatever beta gameplay. Most of it's like CGI trailers, but
has it had a release date announced yet, or is it like far future?
No, far future. I'm sure it's I'm pretty sure 2027 is what they're targeting. So
yeah, okay.
Dawn of War 4 might be late this year, like quarter 3 or 4. That's like more further along from what I know, but yeah, the 40,000 game is like way off. So
yeah.
I don't think 2028. I think it's 2027 is their target. They set up, they're obviously not giving a hard release date, but they said something like generically targeting 2027.
Sure.
Unlike, it came to mind. I think it was The Witcher 4 is like, I think they said 2028 was the earliest, and next Cyberpunk games like 2030. It's like, so some games are literally like 4 to 5 years off, even though they're announced now, but these should be much sooner. Yeah.
Development can take quite a while.
Yeah, especially on these big projects.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time. I think that's it for like the game segment, quote unquote. But you had some hardware bits and bobs you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean it's not much, but so like in the pipeline, I've been talking about a new studio display for God knows how long at this point. I think we're reaching a year at this point. But like we saw some more tangible movement in that space recently. In that there's all these regulatory databases where companies have to tell various governments that they're about to announce a new product that contains some material or that has some power requirements or something for various regulatory needs and taxation and God knows what, right?
Sure.
And in one of the Chinese databases that are publicly facing, you can just go and look up information. A new display product has showed up from Apple, a new SKU. That's basically all the information. We have no idea if that means that it's coming out, in 3 months or 7 years or God knows what, right? And there's no information about what it is. It could be a studio display. It could be a pro display HDR. It could be a 15-inch monitor that you drop on anywhere and bring with you and plug into your computer. There's no information. It's probably a studio display, but there isn't any information in the regulatory database because it literally just says display product, Apple, and then a pretty random SKU number, right?
Okay.
Because it is just one of those things that it has to exist in that database to follow some laws about products that draw so and so much wattage or something. God knows what, right?
Yeah.
But it's tangible now. There exists a product that is going to come to market is basically what this tells us. But there is something we can still sort of pull out of the rumor mines, because CES has been happening recently, the Consumer Electronics Show, and there is a new display panel, the actual panel technology that becomes a monitor when it is connected with a display controller and put into a chassis and so on, from LG displays that usually provide the display panels for Apple displays, including the existing Studio display. And this new display panel from LG displays would be a pretty perfect fit for a new Studio display. It's a 27-inch 5K panel, mini LED with 2,304 dimming zones, which is basically just a straight upgrade from the existing Studio display. Same resolution, same size, but going from flat flat brightness, what's it called? A backlight that's uniform across everywhere, to mini LED dimming zones. I forgot if the refresh rate was 90 or 120, but it's either one of those. It with the right display controller, it can be G-Sync, Adaptive Sync, whatever. But Apple might also do the ProMotion version of that, where we've talked on the podcast before about the differences between ProMotion and the Adaptive Sync that many other displays use. We have no idea what Apple's going to do there, because the display panel itself is capable of running at, again, I forget if it was 90 or 120 or whatever, but what Apple exactly tunes it to and puts in a display controller for and such, we don't know. But it's very likely they're going to be using this panel, so we can expect mini LED, 2,304 local dimming zones, and a higher refresh rate than the current one. Still DCI-P3, 99% color accuracy on that color gamut. Oh, and HDR 1200 or 1400 capable. So that's at minimum double the peak brightness of the current Studio display in HDR mode. So that's quite good for HDR content, which the current Studio display doesn't really properly support. It's SDR rated, standard dynamic range. But you can, if you send it HDR content, it can do a thing where it loads up the backlight more, puts more load on that, increases the full panel brightness, and then uses the liquid crystal layer to dim the zones that aren't supposed to be brighter. So it can do kinda-ish HDR, but it's not really HDR, and Apple doesn't brand it as HDR. It officially only supports SDR, but yeah. So the new one is going to be a huge improvement on HDR, refresh rate, and yeah, dimming the black areas that are supposed to be dark when you have a full panel brightness at more than 0.
That sounds promising.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, still no official announcement, just that regulatory database entry. So no idea when it might happen. My bet personally is February, March announcement, but no idea.
Right. Well, coming soon, TM.
Yeah. I could imagine it being announced alongside M5 Pro and M5 Max MacBook Pros.
That would make sense.
And I would expect sometime February, March for that as well, but no concrete evidence of anything in that regard. So,
for sure. And this isn't Mac specific, but it's true. Like continuing on the hardware front, I know RAM prices are crazy right now. There's increased cost of GPUs. GPU makers are targeting more AI because that's where all the millions and trillions are. There's something you had some thoughts on all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so prices are going nuts, especially for memory. RAM prices have, for a while, been going up 1 percentage point a day, which is just ludicrous.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it's actually led to this really weird situation where, for a lot of product categories, comparing somewhat like for like a Dell XPS 13 to a MacBook Pro 13 or 14 at this point, or similar-ish like for like kind of products, Apple has become cheaper for sort of similar specs, because the other manufacturers have been adapting their prices to the market more, and Apple generally only changes their prices when they actually announce a new product. Otherwise, they keep them stable.
Yeah.
But this also does potentially mean that the next launch of computers from Apple could see a price hike. Though there are some suggestions that Apple are going to be able to weather the storm of these price increases in the market a bit better, because they have the buying power they have, and they could have set some deals with the manufacturers for longer periods of time with fixed pricing. So it's all speculative, and there is a decent chance that they are going to see some price hikes to follow the market. Also because, if everyone else is charging more and you can get away with it, then, to some extent you might as well. Even correct. If you can make it cheaper.
Yep. It's true.
But for now, Macs are priced fairly well compared to the competition. That is to say, Macs obviously haven't gotten cheaper. So if you're struggling to afford a Mac, then it doesn't help that they're cheaper compared to the competition. That's just the competition getting more expensive.
Right, yeah.
But, comparing wise, it's looking good for the Mac, although it's a sign that the industry isn't in a healthy state from a manufacturing perspective. And we've seen more and more manufacturers of PC components actually quitting the consumer market entirely. Corsair has been not leaving the consumer market, but they've gone from being pretty much exclusively in the consumer space to starting an enterprise division and putting more of their resources over there. And Micron has completely left. They are no longer producing consumer hardware.
Yeah, that's wild.
For the foreseeable future. I think their brand was crucial in the consumer space, but the company is Micron. They're gone, and NVIDIA has end-of-lifed the 5070 Ti and the 16 gigabyte version of the 5060 Ti, purely on the basis that they would rather use the memory chips for those products on RTX Pro cards that they can sell to AI data centers. So, for people who just want to buy a PC to game on, well, you're either going to have to settle for a significantly lower end 8 gigabyte GPU, or you're going to have to spend a lot more money to go to a 5080 or something.
Right.
So that middle space is dying out a bit. Of course, there's still AMD and I don't really want to say Intel because they don't really occupy the 5070 Ti level. but they are at
Sure.
least sort of in the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte space, so you can get something there. But yeah, we are seeing the gaming side of the PC industry struggle a bit with the server market demands on hardware and what it's doing to manufacturing and product availability. And I just think people should be prepared for a price increase on the Mac side.
Right.
And while historically, I would say when we are getting closer to a release of a new chip, like as I said, I think we can expect M5 Pro, M5 Max in February or March. I would usually tell people that if they can, maybe they should hold on buying a product if they're looking for something in that class of product. I'm less sure about making that recommendation at this point because I have no idea if the M5 Pro is going to be a significant price hike on the M4 Pro, and perhaps even, Apple might increase the prices when they announce the new product, going back to their refurbs of M4s and so on.
Right.
So it's a very volatile market right now. For some of the, primarily due to the AI data center needs.
True.
So yeah, it's hard to navigate at the market. Arguably, one could say that at this point, the consoles have always been pretty good value for what you get hardware wise compared to what they cost, because they've sometimes sold at a loss or just
Sure.
at no profit, and subsidized it with the games later and so on. But even more now than most other times, it might be preferable to buy a console if you're in the market for a gaming PC. For now, Macs are staying steady, but as per usual, the recommendation is that if you're just looking for a gaming product, a Mac probably isn't the best choice. If it's purely for gaming, it's a great choice if you want a general purpose computer, and you might want to play some games on it too. But I don't know. That's basically my little rant about the pricing
it's fair.
these days.
It's fair. I mean, my solution, I sidestepped that by just using like GeForce Now and pretty much having
That's definitely also a path here. There's been no price hikes there, right?
No.
Yeah, so,
but it's true. Everything goes up. I do think, the world's an interesting place right now economically. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like, expect more price hikes in the near future. So if you already wanted to buy a machine and you had a budget for it, like, you should probably just buy it nowish, unless you need like next big greatest thing right around the corner. But if you don't, like, probably lock in a nice Mac or XYZ hardware here, nowish. And,
of course, the other option is if you have hardware that is working really well right now, but you still kind of like want it to upgrade to the next thing, but you can hold out, 2 years or whatever, then the market is probably going to stabilize again at some point. And
you would think.
And that's not to say that the prices are suddenly going to go drastically down or anything. But, relative to inflation, they might stay more or less constant instead of following inflation to even it out in the long term or something.
Exactly, yeah. Hopefully, anyway. No, it's good advice. Consoles are... It is funny that you said, like, relative to the price of competitors, Apple or maybe certain consoles are now like the best deal, which is kind of funny. But no, as always, you should buy hardware according to your needs or your desires or whatever. I've been extremely happy because now I'm doing more cybersecurity. Well, not work yet. I'm hoping maybe by the end of the year I'll get a job. But just going from working in Linux, like virtual machines, to working on my new M4 Mac Mini, like through the terminal and browsers and everything. Like, oh my God, this is so much better for me because I'm a Mac guy. And, everything's just, I know where everything is. I know all my, I don't have to do Control C. I can do Command C, Command V, and, all that kind of stuff. And of course, I just like the UI a bit better and the colors and whatever. So, just been, I just absolutely love using it as like a pure work machine. But, then, I just pop open GeForce Now or whatever. I still have crossover on my M1 Pro, of course. and I last played some Dispatch on there. That game we talked about last time. So crossover's great. Of course, more and more native Mac games. I tried out Cyberpunk on my M1 Pro when it was released. Ran pretty dang well. We talked about that already. So yeah, it's a pretty good time to be a Mac gamer. Basically, never better. But yes, if you only want the game and you have basically no other reason to use the device other than to open YouTube and look at a game walkthrough or gameplay clip or something, you should probably consider a console or a PC.
I would actually say that if you really want a PC for games, at this point in the market, maybe look at the used market instead of new. Like, the used market is always a great place to get better value. But especially now, of course, do whatever you can within, whatever you want and whatever you can afford. It's up to people. It's their money, right? But if you're targeting value, then more than ever, the used market is looking
100%.
good.
Yeah, there's some crazy deals on Facebook Market. My friend got like a $3,000 PC for like $1,600. He had to go drive 2 hours to get it, but later he's like, dude, I'm in the car. I'm like, what? Where are you going? He's like, going to grab this PC. I'm like, how much was it? He's like, oh, it was like $1,600. I'm like, you son of a... It was like a nice 4080 machine with like tons of RAM and it was worth way more than what the guy was selling it for, and it was like practically brand new. I was like, I don't know why he was selling it for that. It's just some dude in New Hampshire. We're in Vermont, and so that was pretty funny. So you can find good deal. Obviously, dot your T's and cross whatever. What is it? Dot your I's, cross your T's. Always make sure you pay with like a secure payment system. Don't be like Cash App only, bro. I'll totally send you the computer after I've stolen your money.
A friend of mine was like, I'll send you the money after I get a tracking number to prove that you've sent it. And got a tracking number and the weight looked right, and he sent the money, and then he received a stone in the mail.
Nah, exactly.
So, you can get scammed.
No, I'm not saying like suspect every person, but just, if you just, over here anyway, everyone because I buy and sell quite a bit of stuff on secondary markets, board games, Warhammer, bits and bobs, various tech. I've definitely had people try to scam me, but it's like, you use the payment protection options. The seller has to eat a 3% fee. It's like boohoo. eBay is like 14.5%, so it's way better.
And there's loads of services that ensure that if something does go wrong, then there's
buyer
insurances
protection
on it. Buyer protection, exactly.
Yeah. So just a extra helpful tidbit in case someone's just I'll go dip my toes into the secondary market and I'm nice and trusting and this guy seems cool, but whoops, he sent me a rock in the mail. So just make sure you get your whatever app, whatever service buyer protection, you get that locked in. So fun time as always. It's a new year. Not a ton is happening yet, but as we said earlier, we just came off with the holidays. Tons of people are on break and chilling, but there's definitely some fun stuff coming. And we'll be back, as always, when there's some more interesting things to talk about in the next show. So I would say that'll wrap up this episode. We're on episode 64. Pretty cool. So we're getting up to 65, which somehow seems like a lot. I don't know why, but 64 to 65 seems like a big jump to me, even though it's just one more number.
I don't really share that feeling, but I'm happy you feel that we've crossed the threshold.
It's probably because I'm turning 40 years old this year, and that seems like a big jump. So I'm suddenly conscious of numbers. That's probably why. I'm like 40 years old. I've been gaming since I was 6. Like, what's happening? But what happened to the kid just playing, I don't know, Warcraft 1 or Duke Nukem or whatever? Yeah. I'm not unhappy about turning 40. I'm totally fine with it. I just think it's funny. It's like, it seems like a big number all of a sudden, even though it's just one more than the one I was at. So, yeah. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks as always for Casper for being here. And fun stuff. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
See y'all.